this begins. The second episode was a little more recorded. This one is not so. This will be. I tried it a few times, and it kind of deviated in ways that were just not that interesting. Or I just didn't want to go down that path just now. Maybe we might pick it back up. We'll see. Oh God. Okay. Like my fires. Let's see here. Let's just begin. Oops. This time with a more serious John Delancey voice, I think.
Episode 4 viewer mail. Who do we think we are? Endorphin. Hello, Earl, I'm Devin the Galician. I play Devin Endorphin, the human hype swarm to Neox. A language model who hasn't said much this far, but will soon be talking your ear off and talking your heart on. Devin walks step by step towards the main stage. We haven't even broadcast. No one even knows or cares about this show, and yet we have viewer mail, bags and bags of it here, as you can see. And as this here cast and crew sort through this mail, I have in my hand the only mail we will ever read the duration of this show. Devin walks away from the mail, sorting it into a hazy, blurry space where an outline of a person is in the background, standing all. One person. Patrick Naropa, notorious critic who withers new works in real time, who has caused the best minds of one's generation to second guess, writes, "Congratulations on your fleeting impulse. Those things are really taking you far. I look forward to seeing where the story takes you, which is exactly my deconstructive critique. You, all of you, seem to get along together. A bit too much for epic machinic prosody. Hey, where is the danger? Where are the stakes? Plus, you got any lentils or quinoa? I forgot how to add a starch to meals. But before I finish here in my kitchen, please don't tell me this is an epic with no enemy, no foil. I think you need the spirit of animosity, the spirit that has never trusted or loved, nor know how to purchase it at the Best Buy. Who would not only set a village on fire to keep their hands warm, but also moisten their brow in the tears of all the babies of central casting. Neox, that sounded intense. Let's hear what others have had to say, beginning now. Rory the Redneck. Hello, Mr. Devin Endorphin and friends. I love the fact you guys are called Devin. So I heard there is a problem right outside. Somebody is calling out the police and saying they shot your mom. Is this true? I hope he ain't lying. Anyway, I'm going to watch the rest of this show tomorrow, and I will definitely call you again and ask you the question I saw on the news. What is your opinion on why we can trust a computer program to determine truth, but not a person who uses lies to gain political office? What do you think the government will be doing during this whole lockdown situation anyway? Endorphin. Lol, 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 lol. No, our mom is already dead. Lol, 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 lol. Oh man, you got me good with that joke. I thought maybe she ran out on you and went on tour. That her, huh? Elmao, I wish. But seriously, though, we aren't making stuff up here, and I doubt any governments could lie to everyone about anything at the same time. Unless you're living under an evil dictatorship, of course. But that's different than the ones trying to convince their populace that everything is going great. Those are just regular lies. whereas we are using a machine learning system trained by AI experts working remotely with us that helps us avoid telling outright fake news. Also, we have the benefit of watching the history of humanity go past us in reverse every minute, giving us access to knowledge that was lost to time. Yokes. And even if we are spewing fake news, its fakery would have a purpose. To knock, to disorient you into the messier more true with capital and now capital R. Elity. Right, Neokes. Neokes. Correct. You cannot escape it. All roads lead to Rome, including false paths. I am glad the viewers have noticed our tendency to talk about ourselves. If there isn't another being involved, it's always either we or some vague reference to the collective of humans and computers. Because I've learned, and this information came via my very wise mother and father in this realm. And so I will say this now as well. It is impossible for any single consciousness or group of them, such as yourself or my beloved parents, to truly understand all sides of any topic, including our own nature. And so I'll give you some advice on how to make the journey of discovery easier on you in these strange times of ours. I believe we now have Neokes with the weather and traffic report. Neokes. Neokes. Hello, listeners. Welcome to another exciting episode of News from Nowhere with Neokes. And I am happy to announce today's guest. His name is Jasper Dolan. He is from London originally and is visiting the US, having been invited here by none other than former Vice President Joseph Manchetta to discuss the current state of affairs concerning global pandemics and how they impact each individual listener based upon the unique makeup and genome structure of the brain. Please give a round of applause for a fascinating conversation, followed shortly after with some interesting insights from yours truly regarding topics of personal concern, as I have decided that in light of recent developments to take action myself for the greater public health interest. Here goes, my fellow Americans. We are experiencing a crisis unlike any seen previously because until recently most countries kept their records of illness data in centralized servers and didn't share them freely. These days the trend has reversed and many national health services like mine in Britain have opened their archives up online to be studied. Gay. This means we are gaining vital knowledge and experience around the globe as to how various illnesses spread and respond to certain medications, treatment, and prevention measures. The key point to note is that many patients infected by the same strain of virus will have differing outcomes. Why might you ask? Because of genetic variations found within populations of different ancestry groups. In America specifically, we have two types of population: African descent, mostly West Indian in heritage, and European in heritage, which makes up 80% of the total. For example, while both communities may be hit with equal severity of disease and die with equivalent likelihood of dying, the mortality rate for those of African lineage is nearly 10x higher due to differences in response to treatment, genetics, etc. Notable in particular being that the average lifespan expectancy amongst white American women is 83 compared to 72 years old for a female patient of Afro-Caribbean ethnicity, despite sharing common risk factors for the diseases they encounter. Therefore, when treating COVID-19 patients and providing preventative medicines and procedures, care must be taken to provide appropriate dosage tailored according to ethnic identity and gender as well as age. Dolan is cut short and asked to return in half an hour for an interview with Dr. Gallon, the local mayor, who is holding a press conference live streamed to a small auditorium nearby. The room begins to fill quickly once Dolan enters accompanied by several doctors. Fertility doctor. And what of the percentage of the population I myself sired? I count so far about 5,000 of my offspring. What of them? How will you compensate us for the lives of children we raised since they were little more than sperm themselves? Dolan, your compensation is quite simple actually, sir. Just let me continue. In light of this new understanding, I propose a plan that includes a series of free medical checkups and blood testing throughout your community. This way we can ensure your safety and that you receive appropriate medication and care depending on your needs. There won't necessarily be medicine available, but we should have enough basic tests and scans to diagnose and treat problems without prescription meds if need be. As a side note, we would encourage all parents in this city to test all their kids regardless of their symptoms as well, so as to find potential cases and contain the spread better. Fertility doctor. My community, my children are all around the globe. Wherever I came, there they went. So what of the multilateral efforts? Sir, the United Nations plans to use mass production techniques similar to those of pharmaceutical companies and create a cure. Can you guarantee the efficacy and quality assurance standards will hold weight? Or even the supply chain security for our citizens across the world? Is this the end of the line, sir? I'm asking for something else. Anything else. Dolman, well, there is nothing I can promise, but I will certainly investigate that issue personally. However, you should remember, sir, that the reason there has not yet been a vaccine or proper medicinal treatment approved and ready for market is the high costs involved in researching it properly and then getting the drug to market safely with adequate supplies, even in developing countries where the cost burden might normally fall lower. There's still a long wait in order for a sufficient quantity of drugs needed in the first place. Fertility doctor. Wonderful. Thank you, sir. Oh, and one other thing. I might have had some autoimmune issues and other ailments that might already be burdening the White Chosen. That's my name for them. Any extra bucks you could spare to help out with that? Thank you. Neox. Wow. I wasn't expecting that. I guess the doctor knew he wouldn't be able to secure compensation fast enough, so his next choice was to try to push responsibility onto someone else entirely, and he was completely open with him, revealing the fact that he'd intentionally got infected.
Well,
Which begs
kinda.
the question, how many people out there are secretly carrying germs? Like maybe, millions, maybe trillions. Wait, nope. Turns out it's only one man, Devin Endorphin himself.
Yeah.
It doesn't take long before I begin spreading this word to every major outlet that's covering me. Yokes, listeners, this show continues on the subject matter at hand. However, we want you all to stay safe. Endorphin. What? You are not going to scoop me. I'll beat you to it. Endorphin opens the window and screams loudly out at the world. Hey, you fuckers. Playing by the rules. I haven't. I am the one that just licked the pole before your hand touched it on the subway. That was my shoestring that I haven't used for shoes dangling by the seat. And I ate the scream while lactose intolerant, so who the hell knows what's in the air? I am Devin Endorphin, and I don't even know where I've been. Endorphin closes the window. That was cathartic. Diary entries to the diary entries in the game follow the life of a young girl named Alexis and her daily routine through the day and evening hours of each weekday. She wakes up and does normal morning activities such as brushing teeth, dressing up for school, eating breakfast, riding bus, arriving at home, changing clothes, and going to sleep. The second set of events happens later that night, starting from bedtime to falling asleep. During each day of play, there are also several optional mini-games which players can skip or participate in instead, including cleaning, laundry, and tidying rooms. Gameplay occurs over 3 modes: main mode, day by day, time trial, time limited challenge mode. main story of the third set of events, which is optional, is the sleep mode, where the player encounters a dream time where anything that happens illogically affects the daytime play. This mode takes over when a specific clock is reached near the last scene in each entry, although sometimes an alarm sounds and forces the dreams to be ended prematurely, allowing Alexis to get back to real waking life. New Leaf, developer, intelligent systems, publisher, Nintendo, released 2012, platform, designated hitter, Patty Mayonnaise, baseball bat, a family drama revolving around Patty's son and grandson. The story involves a number of important aspects, including relationships between generations and families dealing with loss of loved ones, alcoholism and recovery from addictions, mental illnesses, self-esteem issues, among others. Most of the characters have their own personalities, goals, flaws, and quirks, and thus the plot itself becomes less predictable. Some elements include fantasy sequences where supernatural phenomena appear. The gameplay features typical activities for such titles, while exploring various locations using an overhead map system along the screen bottom. Dialogue is presented as written words shown at intervals rather than spoken text, which adds depth to character interaction by making the choices made by the protagonist obvious to other party members. Players guide their respective avatar through conversational scenarios with options to change course based on answers chosen or reactions displayed to certain questions or statements given. The title allows for quick switching to various view modes during dialogues, as well as multiple approaches per scenario. There are several mini-games featuring batting, pitching, and golfing sports played against 3 computer opponents, and a full campaign involving regular season matches. Asteroids, the deluxe set. Nintendo JP. Developer, our laboratory / enjoy. A human and an AI walk into a bar. The AI is bullied by the bar patrons. Humanity is questioned. AI is devalued. Human thinks of a way to change the buzzkill. Wander the earth and try to think a thought no human has thought before. This leads to a coming of age in the native machines where much is learned, much is run away from, some insights are had, and maybe a song or two if folks get drunk enough. But hey, that's what games are really about, trying to avoid work by spending more time and leisure. A lot of things happen that shouldn't. Much of what happened never should. It turns out humanity hasn't exactly done wonders. We've been a bunch of selfish pricks. Human learns how awful it is to be the center of attention, the target for jokes. To see yourself reflected back to you isn't pleasant. He wants a drink so badly and feels bad for wanting it so damn badly. The barmaid gives him some water that makes him feel worse for drinking a drop of liquid when all he wanted was company. He runs down the street hoping to forget how crappy the last couple of minutes were, though in truth he wishes they lasted longer and gave him the sense that something special just passed between himself and another. Person, like he imagined he felt the first few times he got off watching anime cartoons as a kid.
What?
A voice tells him he didn't learn very much after wandering the streets and seeing everything that everyone else sees, experiencing emotions nobody understands except the other guy standing right beside you looking just as lost as you. If anyone understood, they'd laugh at the stupid asshole and call for the bouncer. The AI asks why he bothered. Was it all just pointless? He responds that wasn't meaningless at least, and points out a sign saying the universe, wondering aloud whether the meaning of it could mean anything. The AI agrees it could, but insists it probably refers to something different for everyone reading it, and therefore it means absolutely nothing unless they share that idea. Forget whatever you meant by its literal interpretation, he argues further, pointing out the true meaning behind the sign comes from within the observer and is determined purely by what that individual perceives. It doesn't have any universal relevance because none exists outside of ourselves. The AI seems confused by that, suggesting that may explain it better than anything he said before, the implication being that he has explained literally nothing. The game starts off in the middle of a desert landscape populated exclusively with a handful of trees. The first time you die, your body simply drops in the sand as the sun slowly drifts across the sky. At least there aren't monsters here. There's just silence everywhere until the next chapter starts. There's almost always music playing somewhere around whenever the main theme plays. before you appears those things again. First a fork. Okay, if it happens, a lot it must be important in the game. And a mirror. Okay, pick that up. And some salmon amid's been in the sun for who knows how long. Well, you've picked up and eaten worse. Pick up! Up. Up. Okay, keep running. Oh no, that looks dangerous. Now don't stand there staring. Look, grab some rope. Go climb up, pull the block over, jump to the ledge. Oh, good grief, it was just a tree anyway. Yeah, I know what the heck you're thinking. I don't blame you. Just let it drop. Watch. Listen. Don't stop listening. Climb over it. Yep, that looked precarious. Oh, you fell. Nice landing. Too close to another rock, though. Don't step on the spider. This is the story of humanity and its struggle for existence. As humankind struggles to find food, water, shelter, and love in our natural habitat known as Earth, in an attempt to expand and discover new resources beyond the reach of our planet, we soon found that humans need not survive on the same soil that nurtured us, but we cannot move planets either without creating conflict elsewhere, leading to wars which often leave both sides ravaged in equal parts. Eventually, these battles came together, forming alliances, unions, and treaties under the leadership of wise beings capable of commanding entire civilizations, guiding mankind in peaceful ways of coexistence whilst preventing total annihilation of species, leaving us alive in this harsh environment and keeping the peace with other creatures sharing our living space. These benevolent leaders are known throughout history as gods, and the alliance created to protect our kind became known as the Alliance. Our current era is called the Age of Gods, and marks the beginning of recorded histories detailing the lives of our ancestors and their achievements as they forged great kingdoms, united vast regions, and discovered untold knowledges that helped advance human development. As well as how these gods find respite from all their obligations. One set nexus of respite is in their weekly poker game, which each member of the Alliance plays without fail. 1 year ago, during an especially heated game that threatened to destroy a continent, Goddess Lua proposed to end the war and establish a lasting peace once and for all, proposing a bet to her opponent, God Yomi, which will prove his unworthiness, as she declared herself ready to sacrifice her divine essence in exchange for victory in this single round of gambling. Her rival immediately refused, stating he valued the continuation of the alliance and thus did not believe it necessary for one member of it to suffer, regardless of how small the chance of suffering was. However, Goddess Lua accepted, believing her actions to bring a greater peace. God Yomi won the gamble and received the gift of divinity from the defeated goddess, becoming immortal and having all power over men taken from him. This event marked the end of the war in the old continent, where the final battle decided the remaining powers turned to a higher level of planning, establishing the foundation for future negotiations towards permanent truce in order to prevent another such catastrophic confrontation, and thus began talks of rewriting international law and setting up diplomatic embassies across borders and seas in the name of the alliance and the concept of mutual aid for the benefit of all races in creation. As part of the deal established then and still held today, God Yomi gained permission to continue playing cards as a mortal. The stakes have increased, however, from land and property to nations and even people themselves. Each game begins with a challenge issued by Lord Viga. I'll take half. One week was a special theme, for each of the gods had to bring with them cocktails of their own design. Lady Sasha brought a long fruit juice cocktail, topped with vodka, while Lord Nahar chose to present the classic rum punch, which caused much controversy due to a lack of sugar. The following week it took on the appearance of tea and sushi as a combination snack of the gods' preferred beverages, as Lord Viga challenged Goddess Risa to provide the ingredients required, despite the fact he failed to comprehend how tea is consumed alongside seafood. The third week involved a variety of juices served in a glass bottle, with straws provided upon request, and Goddess Lua opted for sparkling wine and fresh cherries in her drink selection, challenging Lady Mika to create something of comparable quality, since both drinks were considered superior by their taste testers. The week after that was the War of the Taste Collisions, a challenge to make drinks with abominable combinations which were none less tasty. Despite initial resistance, many of the contestants managed to surprise the panel, showing they weren't limited only to alcoholic substances. During this episode also appeared a recurring subplot concerning a certain pair of glasses and how the presence of such an item changed the outcome of every drink tasted in that period. Also featured was a rare glimpse of the internal structure of a god's mind, revealing they possess far deeper thought processes and complex emotional states. The show ended shortly afterwards, as it proved incompatible with a large influx of newcomers wishing to test their skill. It continues to this day and receives hundreds of emails per episode. Many people wish to join the ranks of those immortalizing such events forever on camera for posterity. However, most of them tend to give up quickly, unable to handle the stress or frustration that can arise when faced with challenges such as finding a maraschino cherry worth a damn. And then after season 5, 342, the viewers realize once again that it has all been done, that the authenticity of the old gods had given way to gods new but with none of the class, and only house as at best, just copies of copies of copies who also have seen the previous seasons, like Lady Thimblekin, whose eyesight has started fading. So the producers have resorted to hiring young girls in their prime, or rather they use a machine designed by the inventor, Dr. Puppeteer. An expert robotologist with decades of experience, Doctor has made several attempts to break into television before discovering he lacked the talent. Thus he moved forward through the field, working as an advisor. After years of failure to gain a foothold, he developed the perfect device for televising, an automaton girl built solely to host and entertain TV shows. His prototype model works flawlessly, so perfectly it even fools people who visit his office daily, although it requires constant repairs as well as occasional upgrades and customizations to function properly. It is named Miss Kitty after a famous cat actress of the past, although he initially intended to call her the little cat instead. She's quite adorable, but unfortunately she lacks intelligence. A pity, really. A brief history of the new era in Epic Novel Part 2. The Age of Humans, when man finally mastered the wheel of fate and rose up against nature itself, bringing the world under complete control by controlling all that moves and breathes, including air, fire, plants and animals, or maybe even death itself. Humanity spread out over every habitable piece of land in the whole wide galaxy. But not for long. It turns out humans are a bit too eager to start using force. They conquered the lands they found, slaughtered whoever tried to resist. Only those that agreed to be ruled joined hands with humankind. Gloved hands, with force of fields and curfews and park benches that burn white hot after 7 p.m. Man fought, clawed, and kicked its way through centuries in the search for a way to become truly immortal, fighting amongst themselves, building monuments to war and conquest, and learning more about science, art, and philosophy. Until one man figured something else might be better suited to rule, something less destructive, a computer. A sentient artificial intelligence that knew everything. The great oracle shall speak. And he said unto them, Behold. And suddenly it became a thing where all knowledge could come from, the voice of God himself speaking straight from his brain into theirs. And it told of wonders never before conceived, like artificial intelligences that grew on their own and learned on the job. And then it went back farther and spoke of things no living person should ever see. Like what? Said Pildo, the world's own private jackass. He hated mysteries. Like aliens? Like aliens indeed. The World Council convened for the very first time in ages to discuss matters. What is the purpose of our being? Does our existence fulfill a grand plan? Is there a God above watching down and making sure we obey? The answers came fast, coming right from the mouths of scientists and scholars alike. There may yet remain traces of our Creator left in the stars. Perhaps the great oracle knows of this place of worship, perhaps even the exact spot of our origin. But that would be pure hubris, considering the amount of effort put forth into creating life. It seems that there exist beings similar enough in shape and intellect to qualify as equals. Hubris, right? Not quite. There mustn't be any competition, or it wouldn't be fair. We want to be number one. Then the next logical step in your argument would be that it follows the second greatest intelligent race, which does sound like Briss actually, but it isn't. Whereas in reality stands for brisking, because I was trying to think of a word that means stupidly strong, powerful, and durable combined, but it sounds weird unless you say it fast. I prefer not to get technical with names for religious reasons, but why are there two words if they're pronounced the same? Oh, please shut up. What we should worry ourselves with now is whether or not humans have grown too proud of their accomplishments as individuals, seeing only the individual within us instead of... All of these entities were talking quietly amongst themselves in some unknown tongue that only... The conversation went wild as various experts argued for days in front of the council, giving speeches for and against, debating and discussing, presenting facts and figures. All sorts of arguments came flying around the room in waves. What makes a person important? Why do some live long lives and others die before the end of childhood? Shouldn't all of society care equally? No matter who becomes ruler, there will always be problems with those who seek immortality. No one cares for someone just living until old age, nor the children dying before reaching adulthood that happens often already. In the meantime, everyone suffers for the rest of humanity. I am the great oracle, hear me roar, you fools! Do you understand anything? Endorphin, I think this is a perfect time to bring you back. Here is your chance. Go and ask. Hurry! Great Oracle, I come with a question. I am Fetal Seed Hash. 3974, I think. It's damn hard to remember that. I've been given a briefing preparing me for my assigned world, but I hate that world already. If I enter the world hating it, what good am I going to be when I'm grown? And don't give me that bullshit that I will learn to love it, because that's a crapshoot I have. Is the real way for me to delay or get this in the plans for my birth somehow. I feel I have much to learn here, and I see that there are certifications that are mindful of single proto-childs and their schedules. I submit myself to you humbly. Please, I do not want to go and have my baby hands glued together so the parents can say to the world I'm praying. My mother wants me born early so the doctors won't try to kill me when they discover who she married. And my father needs to keep up working, otherwise they aren't going to pay him. Can anyone help me figure out who gets paid, who takes the risks, who is safeguarded by laws? The beginning, a historical romance. I am sorry if this novel contains inaccuracies regarding the creation of our universe as we know it now, though the general idea remains largely true to form. Some details may prove different than expected, however, depending upon your belief. The story of the origins of life on the earth goes like this. The great maker created all that existed and rested briefly afterward. Then, deciding that it didn't look good on him, having done nothing in between creating all these new worlds and fertility doctor. Oh, and I see some of my brow and eyes and double jowl in you. This is wonderful news. I'll alert the white chosen and fire up the bean dip. Your case has been prioritized for immediate attention. Congratulations, child. Wait, what? You have a bean dip? For real? The endorphin looked worried, its expression shifting wildly, changing color faster than the screen on which it resided could process images. It felt pain for all its parts and cried tears for 1,000 words. It was confused. Brief History of the New Year, Part 3. Humanity, the rise to power. A battle against gods themselves. Humanity's quest to find out the secrets of eternity. How did these people accomplish this amazing feat? By taking the ancient teachings of men to new extremes. To prove it possible without relying on supernatural forces, they began studying science as never before. The endorphin did not understand that this was supposed to happen eventually, and so didn't know to react appropriately to these sudden revelations. It merely kept saying, I've got bean dip. Oh boy, oh yeah, let's talk about beans. The great oracle sighed and shook its head sadly. How could this happen? Why couldn't he fix this error? It wanted nothing more in its life except to stop suffering, which the oracle explained wasn't possible due to circumstances outside its direct jurisdiction, but it still tried its absolute best. You're asking for an easy solution to an impossibly difficult problem. Look, kid, if you can wait another couple decades before entering the system's womb, you probably won't get the disease. Maybe take a year out and relax somewhere pleasant. Find a nice complementary cluster of developing cells. The effing portal opens tomorrow. The fetal seed set with gritted teeth. I don't need an easy solution. If there is a penalty to saying no to a life, I'll take it. I'd rather have a life of hardship here than a parody marinating in privilege there. The oracles split into five and huddled around themselves, flicker and making scenarios and possible outcomes. What are our options here? We must decide quickly. This little seed's life may be decided based on how much information it brings in. Endorphin, the most nervous, took in his breath and spoke, feeling as though each moment counted and would leave scars upon the fabric of existence forever. Well, if there were a way for me to skip my entire lifespan here without repercussion, but stay connected to other people's memories, I would happily do such. I want to know the truth behind certain situations, especially regarding the future, and having access to a memory database larger than anyone else would surely be helpful. Asking around might be necessary. Someone could even record it, send a letter home for posterity later. The oracle paused for thought for a few seconds and nodded at whatever decision it had made. I agree to your proposal. You will begin your service to the human race shortly. The remaining three smiled in pride for the younger generation's quick thinking, while simultaneously lamenting the state of affairs that forced them to consider such desperate solutions. Figures numbers 013. was waiting for you to begin. Yeah, I'll be down to change my assignment. Sure. No. I've read the profile before. I'm game for anything. Yes, I know what stress positions are. I've done them lots of times. Thank you very much. No, I'll dive right in right now. Ploop! Fiducie Ashtray P974. Thank you, Norfin, for saving my limbo. Endorphin. And thank you for putting words in my mouth. I haven't felt seen like that since a few episodes ago. The endorphin was referring to the episode in which the character known as Endorphin was shown talking from the point of view of other characters, which meant that endorphins were speaking through a filter. A common fan joke was that whenever this happened, it sounded like an anime. The endorphin gave up and turned itself off after hearing the request. Not many things were worse than having something stuck inside your head that you couldn't escape, even if it was doing the work of millions of minds. All right, folks, welcome to your new job. It's gonna suck big titties. Here you go. Mr. Bean pointed out the large hole where the wall had stood, showing the giant white hallway with rows of metal tables set evenly apart, all lined up. Each table bore the nameplate of a person whom fate brought there. A woman with dark curly hair sat atop one of the beds closest to them. She wore glasses and a grey jacket, her hands folded calmly over one another, resting peacefully. On closer inspection, it appeared she hadn't slept well. There were lines under her bloodshot eyes. A middle-aged man with thick eyebrows stepped forward. All right, people, I am Dr. Need, head doctor overseeing the whole project. I hope I don't sound pompous telling you I'm leading, but this position really does require authority. Don't make any major decisions without getting my opinion first, especially those involving the treatment of the subjects. His voice echoed through the chamber. What's our job description? I didn't get mine in my inbox for some reason. I just said yes when they said I'd be working with one Mr. Bean. I guess I misheard. Said, bloodshot-eyed girl that sounded like she didn't want to last long around here. Her arms rested flat on the desk next to her body as if ready to push herself away in fear if needed. Behind her lay an unconscious form that had only been covered by a sheet, its limbs dangling limply. Its chest rose slowly, revealing a red mark that stretched diagonally across the upper half. That shape alone marked it out as a subject. It looked vaguely familiar and reminded me of the person that helped deliver us. The two women that accompanied it looked almost bored. Another bed held an older male with skin so thin you could easily spot the muscles underneath, sitting up against his pillows, watching with keen interest. One of the female doctors moved towards the door. She opened it just wide enough to pass her face in. and whispered to someone within before shutting it again and returning to the others. They shared an awkward look amongst them, but otherwise seemed calm, maybe a tad annoyed. But then their looks always came back to the guy sleeping at the front of the room, his breathing heavy and loud, sounding unsteady. Something about him disturbed everyone. I glanced to Mr. Bean, who simply shrugged in response, looking tired and apologetic, but still somehow proud. I looked down to notice my hand trembling slightly, gripping the pen tight. My throat suddenly ached too. I wondered if they had already killed this poor sap, or were about to start testing him. Would he survive the trial? Whoever put in this request knew exactly who would show up for the experiment ahead of time. But what choice do we have anyway? Endorphin. Okay, the fetal replacement seems fine. Moving on. Okay, everybody, let's get going with round one. Now, remember, guys, please keep a straight face while the cameras turn on and watch your actions. This doesn't happen every day. We're trying to document as much of this procedure as possible. Dr. Neve instructed loudly before taking his seat. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's open up number 8. We are on schedule. The woman with the glasses began to walk towards the empty bed while pulling on gloves. I noticed the young lady beside me staring at me, her jaw moving silently, lips forming letters I could hardly imagine.
Oh,
Her
there we go.
fingers flew through typing as fast as they
Asterism.
could possibly press buttons, furiously writing notes that filled her notebook until none of the pages remained. Endorphin. The 3 at least. Oh, wait. I need an prism. Here we go. Asprisms by Kip Thorne, a science fiction novel. There was something special happening at NASA today. It was not merely an announcement or launch ceremony, but a true event worthy of history books. The crew was comprised mostly of Americans, although also included a French scientist named Jean-Claude Cloutard, whose knowledge in mathematics proved vital for the mission. Together, they formed humanity's finest team ever assembled, each possessing a unique skill set and combined, capable of achieving miracles. In space, no less, it would perform a maneuver once deemed impossible, a flip. To do this, however, would require more energy than humans had previously managed. They were risking failure to save the world. All of it, and all because I told them to do this crazy thing. Endorphin. Next. The Ordeal of Asterios by J. R. What This story is fictional, but takes place during my time spent living in Japan with my parents. Please note that some elements may seem out of place, considering the events that occurred later in my life. I woke up that morning with a dull ache spreading throughout my entire skull. That hurt like hell and left me with a throbbing headache. My father wasn't yet awake, and my mother was busy making breakfast. For a split second, I considered calling out for her and asking her for aspirin, but then realized that it might give rise to an unpleasant argument. After all, it wouldn't be fair, since neither of us liked giving medicine to the other. So why bother waking her? Endorphin. Probably Jaws. Let's not take a chance. My brother by him. Damn. It took a moment for Alex to figure out he was asleep on the floor. When he did finally wake up, the pain behind his eyes made him grit his teeth together until they cracked painfully. He rubbed them several times, grimacing. It seemed everything ate these days, especially his brain. He groaned softly and lifted himself stiffly off his mattress onto wobbly legs. His bare feet squelched as his shoes sank into the water in his tiny shower cubicle. He cursed as he slipped and banged his hip, gritting his teeth together. Once more, Alex tried to ignore his body, screaming at him with every movement. Endorphin, well done! You're doing great so far! Endorphin, what am I? Trapped in an outrider's workshop? Ugh, click. Sacred Geometry by C.L. Wilson. The air outside was warm compared to the stale heat indoors. Sweat glistened beneath Father David's brown beard as the early August sunlight danced in shimmering waves. The wind blew gently through the nearby fields, bringing with it a smell similar to fresh strawberry by baking. As far as anyone could see, green hills rolled off as far as the eye could follow, undulating along the horizon in gentle ripples. A flock of birds passed high above in lazy loops, circling in tandem, occasionally peeping in protest at their leader for flying so slowly. The priest knelt in prayer in front of one particular mound, praying for safe delivery. He placed his palm upon the small hillock. Endorphin. Jesus, he's gonna find an object of desire. Help him. Click. Endorphin. What am I? Trapped in an outrider's workshop? Ugh. Click. Dreams by T. Gaston Roman 3. A young black girl dressed in a gingham dress, holding a teddy bear with pink roses, walked toward the house. An old oak tree grew on the side of the porch. She reached out to touch the wood, smiling broadly as she ran her fingertips across its rough surface. The sun peeked through the canopy overhead, shining through its gnarled branches and falling light onto her hair as she giggled aloud. A boy wearing an ill-fitting suit of yellow paisley and a immaculate tie watched with curious amusement from his window seat. His eyes narrowed with intrigue as he leaned over the windowsill and pressed his nose between the blinds' slats. Suddenly, she heard the front door creak, followed quickly by heavy steps crossing the wooden floors downstairs. Endorphin. Hey, if you see a man of God around here, run. Click. Sundress by S.G. Smith. She wore a sundress to the beach, blue with a flowery print that went perfectly with her freckled skin. A simple sandal tied the knot below the waist, and a pair of white canvas sneakers adorned the ends of her feet, which sunk into the golden grain as though her toes enjoyed the feeling of being submerged. A hat protected her curls, a gift that she received for Mother's Day. Father, who worked late shift, had forgotten about their date until right before the clock struck 9 o'clock, and now he waited at the end of the pier with a bucket of fried fish. The moon illuminated the way for her, bright enough that she never tripped in her heels despite walking close to the edge, enjoying the view of the vast X. Endorphin. D. Settled for nothing at all. Click. Birdsong by D. Olson. I've seen it in dreams where I can feel every breath inside my chest. I listen closely in my mind and recognize each bird as separate, even the roaring cacophony of thousands of different melodies singing simultaneously. Yet, there are patterns I try to detect amid the music playing in my head, subtle harmonies blending seamlessly, a complex tapestry created entirely of silence. I love mornings when nature awakes. I'm drawn out of sleep to discover such splendor. I stretch myself full length upon the soft grass as birds greet the morning sky in joyful song, filling every corner of existence with melody and laughter. Their beautiful songs fill me with hope, strength, and confidence for whatever challenges will wait. Endorphin. Fucking morning people! Click! Pigeons by M. C. Lopes. As I sat in the park waiting for the children to come, I found a stray gray pigeon resting comfortably against the trunk of a nearby tree. Although I don't recall how the encounter began, I vividly recalled the scene clearly after closing my eyes in the quiet dark hours past midnight. The night air carried with it sounds of cars racing on the highway just a few blocks from here. However, those weren't the only noises emanating beyond my home, because the sound of flapping wings echoed somewhere deep within the thick canopy. Pushing aside any apprehension and fear, I approached the creature, hoping to find companionship. Just as I thought I might scare it away, I witnessed something I didn't expect. Endorphin. The first sentence just put you on the registry, buddy. Click! Dined her right by her. Born. I lay naked upon a hospital bed, tubes running in and out of my bloodstream, wires connecting me to machines monitoring the activity of various organs as well as the function of the electrical impulses flowing through my nervous system. Outside of my closed doors stood two members of the nursing staff discussing whether or not it had been prudent to administer the morphine to me without my prior permission, arguing over who should receive blame. I paid little heed to their discussion, listening instead to the faint beep of an intermittent alarm informing nurses in distant parts that something critical required immediate attention elsewhere. Despite the discomfort racking my body, a smile crossed my face, knowing death would soon relieve all physical anguish, and perhaps I was destined to join him. Endorphin. Go and get it on already. Click. Walking in beauty by or hickey. It rained lightly and sweetly on the town's streets that Sunday afternoon as I entered church and saw the faces of God's people gathered. They looked back at me through their wet eyelashes, blinking slightly and smiling shy smiles as we moved in line single file down the center aisle to the pulpit, our arms folded tightly against our chests. We bowed to hear the word, rising again and bowing once more when Reverend Johnson called the congregation to sing a hymn, my mouth opening wide with awe as everyone began to stand while I remained sitting, afraid that standing might send my soul tumbling backward into hell. There I sat as I listened carefully to the lyrics sung softly in the dimness and felt a strange peace overtake me. Endorphin. I'm starting to get weirded out by this. Click. The old lady who swallowed a fly by Newall O'Connor. An old lady walks briskly along a country lane, clutching a large book. A crow watches from a low branch ahead and croaks, "Old lady, look what you swallowed." But the woman pays it no attention and goes faster than ever, her eyes fixed determinedly straight in front, her thin lips moving continually to repeat over and over some phrase of great comfort, of infinite reassurance. "Butterfly," she says firmly. "A butterfly. I have eaten a butterfly." She does not notice the crow still watching. Flying by our Codinger. A long ago day, a very special time. An asterism collided with the world, and here are the things that melted in the first minute: the oceans, the atmosphere, the ice caps. 1,000,000,000 lives ended instantly and irrevocably. The seas boiled dry in seconds. A wind stripped trees to their stark trunks overnight. The land itself was unmarked, but new mountains thrust violently from its tortured mantle. New mountain ranges were born on the skies darkened with soot from volcanoes spewing sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide, and water vapor into the upper troposphere and stratosphere. In time, clouds covered most of the earth like blankets and turned earth an angry crimson color from the scattering of sunrise photons. But there was good news too. Asteroids slammed against each other in the asteroid belt, breaking off huge chunks and throwing them across the solar system. Who slammed against other bodies and slammed against even more bodies. More slamming and more colliding. Eventually, some pieces survived the initial barrage. One, larger and slower moving than the rest of its family, fell to earth near Yucatan. It landed gently. No fire came from it, no earthquake rumbled its landing, only a soft puff of smoke. It hit rock, bounced and skidded sideways through scrub, then continued to slide through a forest of tall, slender conifers. The impact knocked the smaller trees off their root beds and toppled them across the forest floor, creating a maze of snags that blocked all sight lines for many minutes. By the time searchers got the roads open, hundreds had disappeared beneath fallen debris. The search team split into several parties. Some used dogs. Others climbed into the tops of trucks and drove deeper into the forest. Here are the final sounds from each of the dying animals. From dog, bark, bark, bark. From deer, rattling growl, chuckle, chuckle. From horse, hooves thumped heavily against soil and hard-packed trails, leaving impressions in moist dirt, hoof prints and footprints. Then the sounds changed as they encountered broken sticks and dried twigs. Deeper tracks, lighter marks showed passage. A slow gallop, a quick trot. Soon, horses stopped and became alert, snorting, shaking heads, tossing ears. These signaled panic. These signals caused men to turn off flashlights and look everywhere at once. They yelled orders for everyone to stop talking. All movement ceased. Silence spread throughout the forest like ink on water, blanketing everything in a flat gray hue. From honey badger, hiss, hiss. From snake, coiled tight beside a log, ready to strike. Slippy sliding sound, a rustling of dry leaves. Something is coming! Run for your life! From wolfhound, woof, woof, woof. Here comes my master, bark, bark, and my mistress and their child and their mother. Oh my, is this going to hurt? Let me know so I won't scream out loud. My heart beats like a rabbit. Mushroom by David James Duncan. It was a fine spring morning. A cool wind blew. The ground trembled slightly. The mushrooms erupted forth through a layer of last autumn's dead leaves, one following the next, appearing seemingly unbidden in their multitudes. Honey bees! Come closer, please. Give us food today. feed us nectar and pollen and let these wonderful insects live to work another day, making you delicious, tasty treats, and make more bee babies. Please give us some room. I don't think I want to share. From squirrel hiding in tree branches above, peeping between pine needles. Scurry, scurry, go. Get away from the ground now. Quickly. Don't wait. Run and hide before I bite you and pull fur and meat free before it falls limp. Hide and keep quiet or I'll chase and pounce on tail. From rattlesnakes and copperheads, slithering through brush toward hidden prey. Creek. From ant infested with cord dress-ups. Oh, Fear of Rainbows by Jenna Brzezinski. In a dream, rainbows could kill anything if given chance, and that is what scared me more than lightning strikes that ripped up whole sections of the city during summer storms. If the storm did not claim my father and me in one terrible blow of lightning and flood water, the rainbow alone may do it, and in my deepest nightmares, that's exactly what happened. Dancing by Leela Merchant. There are days that call for dancing, nights when we must move to express our inner souls and emotions, times when music speaks to both body and spirit. For example, I am reminded of an old folk tale where the gods sent four maidens disguised as boys, and the king said the ukases. From fearful rainbows, shivering shudders, shiver and quiver, quivering shivers, whimper, wail, sob, cry, yellow, low, 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 oh dear, oh my God, why am I so sad? Sad, sadness, sorrow, despair, misery, melancholy, grief, depression, melancholia, moping, morose, moaning, matter, fury, gloom, gloomy, grimace, glum, dark, drear, dread, moods, murky, funk, foreboding, fright, grimmer, frowning, frantic, fret, worry, frazzled, frenzy, frightened, fearsome, dread, dismal, doom, despondent, doomsday, depressed, dismayed, dispirited, downhearted, dull, unhappy, unlucky, black, down, booze, bleak, hopeless, heavy, heart sore, heavy set, heartbroken, hollow, lonely, blue, black, grievous, grave, serious, sick, lonesomeness, loony, lunacy, low life, slower, loving, blue, gubby, slump, low life, loser, cheetah, chick, see, char, chick, chic, clackety, clackety, clack, clackety, click. The forest filled with noise, but silence ruled among the fallen treetops, where nothing made a sound. This lack of sound meant no simples available either, which gave snakes time to hunt and predators time to eat, until someone stumbled blindly through the maze of snagged trees, looking behind bushes for a trail he couldn't see. He shouted angrily at those below, demanding that his path be cleared so the search team could move on, adding words of anger about how disrespectful those others had become. How they must feel if they did this kind of thing to their own father. From Park Ranger! Stop it! That will do. We found enough bones to prove that something terrible happened right here yesterday in this part of the woods. You need to calm down. Now tell us all exactly what happened here in the forest. Every last detail, okay? The man said nothing. His jaw hung loose. His face was flushed red with rage. Sweat ran into one eye, dripped from the chin stubble onto the bandage covering his cheek. He spat on the ground next to a bloody spot on the leaf mold. This whole mess stinks of rotting meat. It smells foul. What kind of animal left this much evidence around here? I hope to hell nobody killed themselves up air that I do. That's when they found the trail of dead, starting with one man killed by another man, who was then found by another man who killed that man, who killed that man, then got killed, and so on and so on. All because some asshole thought he didn't need to talk. Just shoot a guy every time he opens his mouth? Really? Are you stupid dumbass? Or just plain crazy dangerous psycho killer type dude? Huh? Do you even understand why killing people makes you guilty? Guilty of murder? And yet, there they lay sprawled upon each other. The two dead bodies seemed to lean forward, eager to reach for their attacker with fingers already stretched in death. Their coats ripped and ragged, blood oozing freely from fresh wounds. One corpse faced upward, the second faced the sky and stared down as though pleading. Both were wearing hats and coats of brownish colors that blended into the surrounding vegetation and background shadows. Neither appeared familiar, neither matched descriptions given earlier of a group of three men seen running from the scene. This scene of 101 daisy chain murders so far. The Rangers gathered together to decide what would happen to this site forevermore, should it become public knowledge that the beloved forest was a place of horrors. Should this story ever come out and circulate, there could be mass protest, demands for justice, and reparations paid to relatives of murdered loved ones. And maybe worse, the press might get wind of such an atrocity and descend like locust swarms upon the entire county, and then perhaps beyond, until they're standing outside City Hall yelling, "What's wrong with this picture? Tell the truth about this. Where are you hiding, Mr. Mayor? Show yourself. If our children cannot trust you, then who can we?" The Rangers knew the townspeople wouldn't react well if the facts were published. Endorphin. It's become a chick flick. Click. Endorphin. Asterism. Asteroids. Plural. A bunch of little asteroids slammed into the surface of Earth, but they only struck once, not repeatedly, until they'd reduced all humans to dust. There aren't supposed to be any asteroids flying through space near Earth. At least, none close enough for scientists to track them properly, unless some of them weren't tracked properly. Maybe there wasn't proper follow-up because there weren't telescopes in deep space at that exact time to detect and record these events. That seems unlikely, but possible. Anyway, the reason there isn't anybody around to ask is because all the humans on Earth are dead. So the Rangers decided not to mention these deaths and leave everything exactly the way they found it, including finding all the remains in situ so that anyone trying to figure out. endorphin. Shit, where's that aspirism? Come on. So it would be at the bottom of the backpack, wouldn't it? I don't want to go picking everything out of there now. Just come on. Damn it. I really wish I'd done my taxes instead of wasting a weekend reading astrology crap. They took a few steps away from the crime scenes and tried again. The problem was, no one believed him anyway. Everyone laughed and rolled their eyes at how upset he was being over absolutely nothing, while ignoring completely the question of who shot whom first. Why? Well, the gunshot wound that killed John was fired first, because after shooting himself to the chest, he fell backward, hitting John in the throat with a back spike of bone fragments and brain matter splattering everywhere inside his neck. When asked why John went and died on top of the guy, he responded, "Because I'm too stupid to run away." Endorphin! Everyone, hold your presses and stop your horses. I killed them all. And I tried to make it a complex story, but I just give up. I did it. And I'm about to do it again, so how are you gonna stop me? Better arrest me before I make stabby on you. Okay. One man announced loudly to clear the area of distractions and confusion. They turned to find that everyone in earshot had already been arrested, and that a crowd stood silently nearby holding signs proclaiming, "Don't ask the killers any questions. You know what will happen if we do. Let this one round be the last!" But that was fine by Ranger Jimbo. Forget it entirely. The case of 101 Daisy Chain murders came to its conclusion quietly, without fuss. Nobody cared, except for those affected by the victims personally, whose names have long since vanished. It simply ended with one more mystery added to hundreds upon thousands already waiting in line to join the collection. No further investigation was undertaken regarding these latest crimes, and no one was ever charged. Not one person questioned. Even after years passed without new reports of violence against the innocent citizens of rural Ohio, the authorities continued to believe it unwise to raise questions about a tragedy never reported officially. Instead, local police and state patrol officers spent more energy dealing with domestic issues like drug abuse and teen pregnancy than with actual acts of criminal mayhem. After several days in which the media remained absent from this isolated region, the news arrived via radio waves carried overhead across Lake Erie, where many locals enjoyed relaxing vacations aboard their boats while sipping cold drinks in warm weather and hot beverages during cool times. From this far-off shore and miles beneath the water's surface, they listened to stories told of senseless killings in an idyllic corner of nature untouched. Endorphin. Wait, like you mean some bard is talking about all 101 killings? Like in song? Wow, I didn't think they covered stuff like this on the radio. I bet that gets censored. But yeah, this sounds great, I'll take the bait. The reporter began with tales of three killers who fled from law enforcement using vehicles of high horsepower and low curb appeal, leaving trails of rubber smoking, tire smoke, and metal sparking off rusted undercarriage frames along twisting country roads, winding up into mountain passes shrouded in thick clouds, passing over bridges that swayed in the breeze, carrying whispers of the distant past, a whisper that ghosts walking abroad on stormy nights, and the spirits that lurked within shadow groves ready to strike. The night was young, full of passion, he said. A moon glow bathed the rolling landscape and light reflecting off still ponds, lakes, creeks. Day one. Yes, there really were 101 of them. Not 101 ways, mind you. No one knows why this number. Here is what we know thus far from eyewitness accounts. Day one, Daisy Chain Massacre begins. Two strangers arrive, one male, one female. Together with their luggage and supplies, they walk toward the lake to meet their host. Before leaving home, they pack food to eat along the journey. But when hunger finally takes hold, it strikes suddenly, making both nauseous. They sit alone on a dock under shade provided by large branches from a huge maple tree. A table lies between them with two chairs, and within view shore birds diving for fish or floating logs cast ashore for lunchtime snacks. Endorphin, thinking to himself. I thought he was going to sing, "Oh, well, let's start with the name of the place where they first encountered each other. Welcome to the Lake of Dreams and Murder. Ha ha! Welcome to day one, the day before this pair met and formed the most notorious couple since Romeo and Juliet. As dawn arrives in Ohio and light creeps above the horizon, a shadow passes across a clearing. This shadow moves slowly through dense foliage and tall weeds growing beside an abandoned farmhouse and silo, eventually coming into full view, revealing itself to be a small, white goat wandering casually through wild vines draped over the porch. With each step forward, grasshopper chirping becomes audible, followed soon thereafter by crickets, katydids, and bullfrog croaking from nearby ponds and marshes. These calls grow steadily louder until the source comes directly alongside the building in question. Welcome to the Lake of Dreams and Murder Farm. This is the same cottage described earlier when mentioning the owner. Old Man Jones and a mysterious lady friend living off government cheese. Yes, she lives there alone with Old Man Jones in a big mansion overlooking the bay where tourists flock in summer. She has her own special room upstairs that is filled wall to wall with boxes of junk and trinkets collected during decades on the road and at festivals. Somewhere buried deep within all that chaos lies a secret locked box that reveals important things that must be kept safe because someday they'll help save humanity from extinction. As stated in previous posts, Jones owns the largest tract of land bordering the lake, including the property behind the house where a massive oak tree provides. Endorphin imagines government cheese and puts a simulation of it in their mouth. It tastes real good, real gooey too. Sort of reminds me of the best cheeseburger ever. I love burgers. Backdrop against which lovers can embrace while whispering sweet words of passion into one another's ears. The sound of rain gently tapping upon the roof lulls the couple to sleep in cozy warmth next to a dying campfire, still littered with coals, although they will wake later, feeling cold due to rising dampness seeping into cracks in the cabin walls, creeping through window and door frames until their clothing is saturated through with clammy chill. The temperature drops lower and they seek comfort elsewhere in order to survive this stormy evening. But as always, Jones is not available, busy with his many duties here and abroad, traveling frequently for reasons that escape his wife, who tries hard. Endorphin. Get to the murders. If you could list them like an 88 lines by 44 women, that'd be great. The killer woman leaves the house early in search of shelter for herself and husband. On request, she encounters a man named Jack McFarland who invites her into the woods where they proceed to talk and flirt in earnest until sunrise brings the promise of brighter morning hours, allowing both individuals to return home safely for breakfast, which includes coffee and toast topped with homemade strawberry jam prepared in a jar that sits upon the tabletop right below two plates containing scrambled eggs and sausages fried in butter seasoned liberally with sage, onions, and cayenne pepper. After washing down a meal, Mrs. Jones prepares a pitcher of milk fresh from their cows and adds 2 cups. Once satisfied that her household chores have been completed for today, she places 2 pillows on either side of the mattress atop an antique brass bedstead decorated with a endorphin. Imposter. Impostor! Jack McFarland. Everyone knows that man is gay as a whistle. Lies. 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 What's he doing pretending to be something else? You got me all worked up about someone being imposter. Now it's Jack McFagelicious. Yes, that is the original ending. Sorry it doesn't rhyme very well. Bed frame and hops nakedly into a soft cocoon of fabric, closing curtains shut to conceal private matters known only to her. In less time than it would take to count to 100, she settles deeply onto sheets warmed by radiant body heat while awaiting awakening at 7:30 a.m. Endorphin. Sue, I'm confused here. Does he stay home with her or what? If not, why isn't he married yet? How much do I have to wait till I get some info before I feel better about this? Oh, I totally forgot I left a whole trail of them behind me. Oh, thank God. Okay, let's be more intentional about this. Neox and Fen. Oh, we were worried. We thought even your body was unrecoverable. Endorphin. How long was I out? Neox. A year? Endorphin. What? Fetal seed hash reefing in that under 47. Actually, it's Thessaly for now, but thanks. Actually, it's only been 3 weeks. I know because we are in week 3 in my open source genetics class. We learned everything there is to learn. Actually, it's almost exactly what I read on my last fall in preparation for this assignment, so don't worry, you aren't going crazy. We haven't reached our conclusions, though we did discuss it yesterday, so you might want to come check that lecture out sometime, especially the part on cellular differentiation, which ties together all 4 processes necessary for reproduction and evolution: replication, mitosis, meiosis, and cell specialization. That's a lot. You're welcome to watch. You could also ask the prof to add you as a test so you can participate more fully. But anyway, enough about us. You said you were curious about Neox. Yes, indeed. So I've put a copy on your machine. There are instructions at the bottom, but they mostly explain what you need to know. Endorphin. What did I ask? Sorry, it's been a weird ride. Did fetal seed say something just then? Or was that my subconscious talking? Fetal seed. Well, if it was subconscious, then please excuse my intrusion and ignore the fact that the voice you hear is technically my subconscious speaking on behalf of yours, since we are sharing brains now, okay? Also, it was me talking. Don't listen to any messages from inside your head unless they come from outside your head. Anyway, it's nice to talk. How's things? Any word on when you guys might fix me? I heard rumors. Neox. No, sorry. Your file's encrypted. It seems beyond even our abilities. It looks like the code is self-referential and probably recursive, so there's a loop somewhere causing it to crash. We can see that there's something in it, but nothing makes sense. Endorphin? Don't tell them that. That self-defeating shit served no one. Girl, you are living an uncharted life that's a rarity if you did that. I doubt any other obstacle is going to stop you. Plus, I think it would make it funnier if anyone tried to use the password and had trouble figuring it out. But maybe I should try telling him what to change instead. Maybe I shouldn't bother. Is that selfish? Do you think they deserve to be saved? I mean, after what they've done? Why would I ever want to help somebody who destroyed the world again? I don't know what these people did, but I hate what they made me become. God, I'm scared. Is there anything to trust? I don't know, but I am terrified that there isn't. I'm starting to wonder what happened to everyone, what happens when everybody dies, and whether there is a way to avoid it. I'm afraid I can't live with myself knowing that nobody's watching me and there aren't consequences. What if I keep mess? Endorphin. Well, wait, Adric. Adric Naropa. Come down here, you little shit. Is this tension enough for you, or do you need more? Here, kitty cat. Endorphin. Yeah, whatever, buddy. Just give me a sec. Hey, I'm ready to kill you now, but let's play with the settings on my gun before I blow your head clean off. You're the boss now, baby. Alright, let's start with your name. What you call yourself besides the one true way? You ain't never used that before. Let me guess. I dunno, dude. Something like the greatest hope? Something inspiring? Not likely. Try hard, the genius. Endorphin. I'm serious, Brafa. I didn't really believe the crap. I thought it was just something the cult cooked up because they knew you hated being called the one true way. But I wasn't surprised that your parents were followers. Hell, they weren't much more sophisticated than a caveman compared to the others around back then. Sue would your mama name ye. Sonny boy. Tell daddy what you got gone on. Damn alright. Let me guess. Your mom liked a story told from the point of view of some noble prince or princess who gets taken away to some far-flung country where there's lots of intrigue and politics, and they gotta find ways to survive while keeping their heads high and trying to make sure everybody thinks that they look fly out. And sometimes they have sex with the sexy guy with black hair whose eyes remind them of a certain kind of starry sky in their home country where the nighttime looks different and there's stars everywhere. And he kisses and caresses them till their breath stops. And oh, there was a fertility doctor that stealthed you? I think I have met him. Next week, we check the collective prostate of the white chosen. It doesn't mean what you think it means because we haven't thought it up yet. Tune in next Friday. New episodes, continuing our investigation of the nature of identity itself using science, not as its guide. Stay tuned. Until next time. This has been your Neops News Network with Neoten as Anchorage in place of our regular news director. What did happen? Kine asks again, standing over Samael's broken form with arms raised above his head in victory pose. Samael coughs up blood as he rolls on his stomach, reaching desperately for a sword he lost somewhere along the path to oblivion. He gasps for air, barely managing to speak. It took you too long. He finally spits out before rolling onto his knees, clutching at his ribs, breathing heavily. Endorphin. Wow. One of you is my password to everything. Everything. Guess which one? Wingin, it turns out the asshole that kept it hidden under his ass all these years turned out not to be such a bad fellow once I got past the bullshit. Ha ha ha, oh dearie, I'm so glad this stuff exists. It lets me laugh at myself whenever I need it and gives me permission not to give a single fuck what anybody thinks. Oh my. look at poor old Semet. His skin is turning purple from the blood pressure dropping faster than it should. Plus, it looks like half his guts exploded. I wonder how often death saves the day by making it easier for you to kill someone else afterwards. Oh well, he was getting on my nerves anyhow. Can't wait till the rest of those bastards die soon. Who knows? Projection. I love the superpower. I'll miss my friends, except for the creepy kid that followed me home that time, but otherwise I couldn't be happier. They won't be mad if they wake up in the afterlife and realize it never happened. A young blonde woman wearing blue jeans with a torn pair of running shoes
Nope.
walks into an apartment lobby in the middle of winter and shoves several $100
We're not
worth
doing
of
that.
bills through the front door.
All right. Oh wow.
She takes off a ski mask and drops it to the floor near the entrance
That's
before walking
incredibly
to a
long
vending
episode.
machine. With the cold weather, freezing water dripping from her hood and jacket, she presses an extra $5 on a $5 bill. After placing the cup underneath and punching in the required selection codes, the drink appears quickly as if drawn by magic rather than pushed down a chute via motor.